It's Monday, and that means another episode of Get Boosted on Shot Callers Esports. Eric Kummel here with Matt Hempstead, and I don't know if you heard about it because it was pretty under the radar thanks to Riot, but there was a scouting grounds that went on over the weekend. There was a finals and a third place match that apparently was broadcast.
It was broadcast, unlike everything else. The round robin was not broadcast. The initial draft for these teams was not broadcast. It was very under the radar, as has been a lot of things by Riot this offseason, including the LCS franchising and player contracts, all that stuff Riot doesn't want you to know about. But yeah, the scouting grounds was the first day on this weekend, and it was kind of cool. The first ever scouting grounds and the first ever player draft.
And if you want highlights from those third place and finals matches,
Too bad.
you can't have them.
No.
You can watch the whole VODs, the entire games, in their entirety on LoL Esports, but no highlights. Got to make your own, which isn't very fun. But yeah, there was a draft that went in. 10 of these guys from the scouting grounds are drafted. Now, that doesn't mean they're necessarily going to play on any of the LCS squads, but they basically have a 21-day window. They have the exclusive rights, whatever team drafted them, to have first dibs to sign these guys. And then after that period, they'll head back onto the open market. Then maybe other teams will pick them up then, maybe not.
And it was interesting right away because you can tell that different teams have different opinions on this draft. I mean, Cloud9 obviously very interested in acquiring these picks. They picked up 2 extra picks, one from FlyQuest to start things off, and then another one from OpTic and even Clutch Gaming. They acquired the 4th overall pick as well. So some teams really using this to try to build their academy roster, and other teams, like the ones who sold their only picks, FlyQuest, OpTic, GG's, Golden Guardians, also getting rid of them and just going to build their academy roster some other way. So it was an interesting beginning to this whole scouting grounds draft thing, different teams prioritizing different players, and even for teams like CLG, when you actually worked with some of these players, because obviously TSM, Cloud9, CLG, and OpTic kind of worked with their own teams. And then from there, do you go after guys from other teams that performed really well in these games, or do you just decide, you know what, I worked with this guy, I coached him throughout this process, and I liked what I saw, do I pick him up instead? So you kind of saw that throughout this entire weekend. Some teams choosing to pick some of the guys they worked with, and then others just being like, wow, he looked really good throughout the entire process. So,
yeah, and for a team like Cloud9, 3 guys, as you mentioned, they're picking up. So you've got to think some of these guys are going to find a spot on their academy roster. They ended up picking League, a top laner, for the first overall pick. So you got to think, I mean, top lane is kind of one of the main question marks that Cloud9 has had since Impact left, and now Licorice is the starting guy. So maybe they're confident in League as a sub guy that could maybe come in if Licorice really struggles, but I still don't think he'll ever be seeing the starting roster.
No, but again, it makes sense if you're Cloud9. You don't have a ton of question marks. Obviously, you have Jensen, Sneaky, Smoothie in that bottom half of the map. And then Licorice is the one question mark with Impact leaving, and they couldn't get an import, obviously, because they already have 2 with Sven, Skaren, and Jensen. So they pick up League just in case, and he's a good building block for that academy team as well. The funny thing was in the broadcast when Cloud9 went jungler in their 9th pick, or 9th overall pick. And
who's on the desk?
Wiggly, who they already picked up for the academy team, was sitting there being like, wait a second, does that mean that I'm not on the team anymore? But again, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to join that roster like you said, Eric. It's just they have the exclusive rights, so if they want to pick you up, they can. They can move those rights to another team. So there's a lot of things going on.
This whole draft was very awkward.
Yes.
They're really trying to emulate and rip off some of the professional sports draft days that they have, but it doesn't work quite as well when no one's in the crowd. It was literally just the 20 players and 10 of them getting selected, and it was empty. So it was a very weird ambiance and atmosphere in the LCS studios when it's empty.
Yeah, I mean, it is still a step towards trying to merge with regular sports. It was like an assimilation of sorts into what the NFL does, what the NBA does, with this whole commissioner moving onto the stage. Cloud9 is now on the clock. He was very monotone and kind of boring and even terrifying at times when he just stared at the camera and was like, the draft is now over. Oh, all right, I guess we'll leave.
He was a robot.
He was a robot. It was kind of bizarre, but even having 5 minutes to make your pick, even though most teams already knew what was going on, it's still a step in the right direction of trying to become a real sport, but you could tell even in the comments of some of these VODs, people not understanding at all what's going on, saying, how come Cloud9 had 3 picks and some had 0?
That's because just really unbalanced. It's not fair at all.
Yeah, because Cloud9 just straight up bought the spots. It wasn't even trades. It's just, hey, we'll buy it from you. All right.
Yeah, it seems like, at least right now, these draft picks aren't even worth trading an actual asset. Yeah, it's like, hey, man, give me $500 for that. Ooh, okay. Good deal, good deal. So, I mean, yeah, Cloud9 and Clutch making up half of these picks. They've made up 5 of these picks going forward, so maybe they're looking more at grooming this talent. Obviously, with that 9th pick with Blabberfish, which is a totally ridiculous name, and I love it. But maybe he's going over to some other team because, yeah, there's no way that Cloud9 is actually going to sign him, I don't think, when they already have Wiggly for that academy team. So maybe another team wanted him. We have no idea what's going on with the behind the scenes. Maybe Cloud9 just wanted to move up for some of these guys, and then they're moving Blabberfish to another team. But I'm not so sure how invested any of these teams are going to actually be in these draft picks going forward.
Yeah, I mean, that was the Cloud9 situation with Blabberfish too. Was one of those scenarios where, you know, we already got 2 guys for this academy roster, and now do we just get someone else who's like the next best available, even if he doesn't fit our roster, and try to flip him later down the road? Or do we get someone who's maybe not as good as Blabberfish and to stick him on the roster and say, whatever, there you go. But it looks like they're going to just pick him up and move him. But one guy I want to talk about before we kind of shift off the scouting grounds thing is Nintendo X.
He's coming.
Mr. Irrelevant. With the 10th overall pick and the last one. It was a pretty long draft. Boy,
it took at least 3 hours.
Yeah,
although it did last like an hour.
It did, yeah. It was a full thing. But Nintendo is kind of back. And it's interesting because he's going to CLG where you have Rainover on the main roster. I thought it'd be Omar God in the academy roster.
I think it still will be.
It probably still will be, but at least Nintendo is a guy who can actually kind of collaborate with a guy like Rainover and bring new ideas because he's got that LCS experience. He's been around for a while. And he kind of surprised some teams being showing that he still has something left in the tank despite a few years off the LCS table. So good for him to actually get back to the pro level. CLG picks him up. We'll see if he ever gets some academy time.
Yeah, obviously he's a different case than pretty much anyone else at the scouting grounds where he has that professional experience. And we'll see if teams are willing to take a risk on him. It's probably less of a risk to go with him than some of these other guys because he has at least proven that on-stage talent and skill. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll see how much this draft actually plays a role in these academy teams going forward. Make sure you're sending in your questions. We will be getting to them later in the show. And I think this next topic, a lot of people are going to have some questions about. We're talking about Mr. PowerofEvil. The All-Star votes were coming in today. They were released, the percentages about how guys got released. And obviously, PoE did a little thread on Reddit. People have been upset with him for going to NA after saying, you know, he loves EU, he bleeds EU. He had this whole campaign for coming to the All-Stars as an EU representative. Then he made this massive thread about, you know, answering some questions. And some of it was enlightening, some of the stuff he said. But one of the best quotes is him saying, by the way, the votes weren't even close. I can't give you the numbers. But, well, now we can give you the numbers. And he got over 53% of the votes in that mid lane, which is actually pretty insane.
That's pretty nuts. And I mean, we heard about all the campaigning he was doing, and it obviously paid off. If you get over 50%, the majority vote, which is almost unheard of when it comes to all-star voting, obviously with so much talent. Even in the mid lane, there's Perks and Fibabin as well, just sitting there. And it's PowerofEvil who gets over 50% of the votes after a pretty good performance at Worlds, but part of that was empowered by Misfits. And now the outrage from EU fans has been pretty incredible, and partly understand why, but at the same time, look, this guy left for an incredible opportunity in North America with OpTic Gaming. Obviously, the contract is going to be greater than what he was offered in Europe to stay with Misfits, to go to some other teams. So at one point, you have to respect his decision to just go to North America and say, I can't pass this up. You saw with other guys who aren't getting flamed, like Fevin went over. It's been in Mythy to a degree. Still, European fans are not thrilled about it, but they understand it. I think the only reason that PowerofEvil is getting so upset was his major campaign to go to this EU LCS All-Stars and then all of a sudden leave, even though in this Reddit post he was saying, look, it's just 2017's performance. Doesn't matter what I'm going to do next year. I still want to represent Europe as their best mid laner from this year. And that's where it starts to get upset. Obviously, people are like, you should give it up to Perks. And screw you, because you're not in Europe anymore, you shouldn't represent the region. I mean, sure, but NA, for the longest time, has had guys not from North America representing them at Worlds on this All-Star stage. So I get it. I know why you're mad at PowerofEvil, but at the same time, he's leaving because it's the best for his future. And I think you got to respect it. I do. I understand it's hard for you to keep seeing your talent leave your region. But man, this guy has such a good opportunity ahead of him. The team might still suck, but at least he's going for, hopefully, contract stability and a lot of money.
Yeah, I think the main issue I have with this whole PoE thing is he said, in some of these interviews, he was saying he's going to NA with the hopes of still going to Worlds. And then in this thread, he said, you never know what would happen with Misfits, with Ignar leaving. There were some question marks there with the team. All the other teams are changing in EU. But don't say you're going to NA to win, to still have a hope at being top 4, because, I mean, that OpTic roster has maybe a 1 or 2% chance of probably going to Worlds with the stacked franchise that's coming in here. All you had to say was, I'm going to NA. There's a fantastic opportunity for my career going forward that I don't want to pass up. Okay, perfect. Of course. You're going to get paid a lot of money to go there, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. People go for things like that, for money and to further their careers, for a great opportunity in esports. They do it in regular sports. They do it in basically any career. It makes sense. But you're not going to win. You can't. I know he wants to win. Obviously, he's not like, well, let's go lose. I'm going to lose every game. We're going to go 0-18. I can't wait. Obviously, he wants to win, but I mean, and you got to have those expectations, but deep down inside, it's a great opportunity. So they're probably not going to win. They're probably not going to go to World, but it's a great opportunity, and he's representing EU even though he's NA.
Yeah, he's definitely backpedaling too far. As soon as you get questioned and then you try to fix it, usually you just dig yourself a bigger hole, and then you're staring out of a ditch after a while. And that's where he is now, because, yeah, you look at this OpTic roster, and that's where the struggle starts, especially when you say, man, I'm going to this great team. And you're like, but you're playing with Zig, Acadian, Arrow, and Elimination. Huh. And that team is not great at all. And you look at all these other stacked rosters, like you said, and there's no way this team competes for Worlds, at least right away, unless you make some changes. And even a top 4 spot. For me, they're a bottom 3 team. And it's tough from the outside looking in to say, man, PowerofEvil thinks they're going to win Worlds with this roster. This guy's delusion. Misfits was a way better opportunity to actually get to that World stage based on what we see. Who knows? Maybe he knows something we don't. But right away, you look at this roster, and apparently even OpTic's budget not holding up to some of the others in the NALCS. So maybe they got left out of some other opportunities where PowerofEvil was like, oh, we're going to play with this guy. Wait a second, that's elimination. That's unfortunate. But no matter what, he's going to be the face of this franchise. No doubt he got the most money offered to him of any of these people on OpTic's roster. So, again, it's tough. I agree with you in this fact that it's like, if you say you're going to go to Worlds, this roster's not the best opportunity for you.
No.
Just say, man, great opportunity with OpTic. Hopefully it goes for the best. Done.
Yeah, and the main thing is once people kind of have a small hate train going for you, you can't reason. You can't reason with that whole mob mentality. You can't go in with any kind of logic or anything like that. So yeah, now he should probably just stay away.
Just stop.
Stay away on the social media for a bit. Perform well for EU, and maybe you'll get some love back from them. But honestly, he probably shouldn't have been at All-Stars just because he wasn't the best performing mid laner in EU.
That's a fact. Yes.
But the campaigning worked, so
it worked real well.
It worked real well.
The best thing he can do for his future is get to a Rift Rivals tournament and then just totally sandbag it with OpTic.
Yeah.
And be like,
the double agent
did this on purpose, guys, just so EU could win.
Yeah. I mean, he might be going for that long con. The problem is OpTic probably has to qualify for one of those tournaments.
That's an issue.
That's a pretty big issue.
Yeah, there's none of these IEMs where you just kind of get invited because all the big teams drop out and they bring in the crappy ones.
But if there's a fan vote to get a team to go to one of these.
And PowerofEvil campaigns. Nice.
So that's
We've gone full circle.
We've gone full circle. But if PowerofEvil has a poor performance at All-Stars, he's going to be in some trouble.
He's screwed anyways, to be honest.
He's screwed either way. But
once you get that hate, it's tough to get rid of it.
Tough to get rid of it, even if you keep performing well. But OpTic, I mean, that gives a honestly, without that, OpTic is a pretty boring storyline for me. The most boring team, maybe.
Yeah.
Going into the
For
franchising.
sure.
But now with all this around PoE, it's a game you want to check out. It's games you want to check out.
Yeah. I want
Maybe
to watch
only-
Twitch chat.
Yeah, I want to see Twitch chat when PoE plays. I want to see that Euro for the E for PoE. But
Is there a pitchfork emote? Yeah.
oh, there will be.
They need one.
There will be. Some other All-Star numbers we got here.
Yeah. Throw them out there.
The voting. PoE wasn't even the most one-sided for EU. Reckless, as you'd probably expect, 60.4% of the total votes. In NA, this one was actually pretty surprising. Sneaky, 52.6% of all the votes. He crushed double it. 52%. That's almost as much as PoE got. And Sneaky didn't campaign, although he campaigns anytime he streams. And he has a pretty loyal following. I think that's what it said in the little description under the votes, that he has a loyal following on his stream. Loyal is one way to put it.
Or something.
Oh, devotion.
Devoted
Devoted
following.
fans.
Yeah, something like that.
Mike Young in the jungle, 29.3%. That's it. That's a tight race.
I mean, you look at the position, and there's a lot of guys in that running. Contracts, Smithy, I guess some other guys. Because
Probably those three. Those are the main three.
But some votes had to go elsewhere because 29% is not even a third of the votes. So, yeah, Mike Young barely scraping it out, but doing just enough to represent, I guess, the people who love Mike Young and love Phoenix 1. Just barely got him in there because it was definitely close. We don't have the full numbers because Riot, once again, is like,
Very
you know what?
transparent.
We don't want to give you too much information because I don't know what people are going to do with it, but apparently
They'll wait until the day before the event starts and give you the other ones. They don't want to overwhelm you with information right away.
Yeah.
So they just give you the leaders.
Sure.
Some other regions, Uzi, 84.7%. 84.7%.
It's a large number.
It's a large number. Not even the highest. Not even top two. Faker, 88.7. Obviously, Faker's going to get an insane amount of the votes.
The unkillable Demon King.
Well, he died.
He died.
He died at Worlds.
Because he's still a demon.
He's still a demon. The killable demon king.
He's not even a king anymore.
The killable,
Once you lose.
He's just a killable demon.
That's not his character.
So, the demon.
The demon.
Yeah, pretty good nickname.
Yeah.
Even Faker wasn't the top vote getter. That honor goes to Levi from the Marines. 96.2% of the votes. Probably because I couldn't name another jungler in that league.
No, I couldn't. I'm not sure if the battle even had other options.
I don't think so. So where'd the other 3.8%
It was a
go?
misclick. Somewhere in the Riot coding, there was just another box and people accidentally kept clicking on
It's
it.
just other.
Yeah, other.
That would have been funny if other had won.
It would have been great.
But yeah, that's the voting breakdown for All-Stars. All-Star event getting underway this weekend.
Thursday it starts.
Thursday it starts. Oh yeah, I guess there's a few events going on. Riot released their little hype video. What did you think of the hype video? You like it?
It was all right. I mean, we didn't really get World type videos, so it's good to get some All-Star ones.
An All-Star one.
One, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I did enjoy that all the Faker highlights were just the Nexus exploding in his 3 World Championships.
Yeah.
You know, they couldn't narrow down his highlights, so they were just like, he's won a lot.
Sneakies was the best, though.
Sneaky W.
Sneaky W. Just stealing objectives with W.
Like obscure W's too. Lucian W.
Jin W.
And Jin W. And I love that in the comms he actually says LOL.
Why wouldn't he? He's the man, the meme, the legendary.
He's taking over. Sneaky is taking over the world with the memes. We will get your questions in a little bit. Keep sending those in. We talked about PowerofEvil.
We did.
Another EU guy who's coming over to the NALCS. FebEvil, not getting quite as much hate, or not even close to as much hate. And by the way, this is also a guy who said, I'd never go to NA. That's a trash region, EU for life. He's coming to NA. And you know why? Because he had a great career opportunity. And his roster looks a lot better than OpTic's.
A lot better than OpTic's. I mean, just up and down, you got to say, man, this Clutch Gaming roster is very solid. And the Houston Rockets have done a great job to assemble what at one point was nothing. No whispers, no rumors, just blank slates. Even the Houston Rockets were like, are they even in the LCS still? Because you haven't heard anything. But then this comes out, and you have Solo in the top lane. That's the weak link, obviously. But then you have the Envy core of Lyra, Apollo, Hakuo, and then FebEvil, who obviously some people think is the best mid laner from Europe. I know me and you have pretty close thoughts on that. We both think he's better quality than PowerofEvil, and then when it comes to perks, it's very close. But yeah, this roster is potentially a top 4 team, and I know it was Sebastian Park who came out and said This team has the potential to be number 1, also the potential to be number 6. And obviously 1 is a low % chance, but he definitely thinks that they're a playoff team, and I agree with him.
Yeah, I mean, you look across, if you're either comparing it to Envy of last year, which obviously Febvin is a huge upgrade, and Solo is probably, at worst, a horizontal move from Seraph. I can't imagine him being that much worse. And even if you're comparing that to H2K, Febvin's old team, that bottom lane of Apollo and Hakuo, definitely an upgrade over Nuclear and Che. Jankos and Lyra, pretty comparable. And then Solo, he's definitely going to be a downgrade from Otawamne. But I think across the board, that bottom lane is a bigger disparity than Otawamne and Solo. So yeah, I think that's definitely a playoff team. I can't see them going lower than 6. And I think they could even maybe go as high as 3rd.
Yeah, I agree. And especially when you look at what they bring in the early game, obviously it's hard to say how well is the team going to work together, what's the chemistry going to be like. At least for Clutch, you have 3/5 Team Envy, which is obviously a good starting point when it comes to synergy and getting on the same page. But when you look at the early game numbers, Apollo highest CS differential at 15 minutes, second highest Golden XP differential at 15. Febvin, pretty similar, first in Gold and CSD at 15. Lyra first in Golden XP differential at 15. So this team, up and down, very solid early game players. And if they get an early edge, I think they'll be able to snowball a lot of these leads. And just individually, they're winning lanes. And that gives Lyra so much ability to just go into the enemy jungle and be confident, be a big force, and just push the other guy around. The only question mark is, will Solo hold his own in the top lane? Probably that's all he has to do, because you have Febby and this pretty underrated bot lane, who is honestly a top 3 bot lane last year in NA. That might take a step back just because of the overall talent, but they're still very solid. So I look at this team, and I agree with you. Top 6 with the potential to be a top 3.
Yeah, and really, if they thrive like that early game like that, just having kind of a game-winning or a potential, you know what you're doing in a game, something they can focus on, the strength that they can go on is in that laning phase. And yeah, again, Solo, I really have no idea what to expect with him. If he's not totally feeding in these games, then yeah, I think Clutch is going to be pretty well. Obviously, you're playing around Febvin if you're Lyra, because he was fantastic on H2K. Jankos gave him a lot of attention because when he gets ahead, he can win you some games. And even when he's not having attention, he's a guy who's going to be even at in lane. He's going to be getting you his CS, and he'll be there in team fights, putting out some serious amounts of damage. And I think C9 definitely has more question marks than I was expecting coming into this. And I don't know exactly how well this Team Liquid's going to do. Obviously, it has the potential to be one of the top teams in the league, but I think Clutch might oust one of them in that 3rd spot. They have the potential to. Again, this is all just on paper right now.
There's not much to go on. Again, every roster is so different. How's the team going to come together? No idea. But it's just funny when you look at this Clutch Gaming roster, specifically Febvin, and then you see that he's not getting any attention compared to what PowerofEvil's getting, and he's just kind of sitting back being like, I did the exact same thing, but no one hates me. So kudos to you, Febvin, because you're in a better team.
Yep.
People still like you, and you're making a lot of money. So congratulations. You've done a great job.
And you get fast food from North America.
There you go.
The greasiest and grossest. I will say that Clutch Gaming, I think, has done the best job of the new teams and looks like the best organization of these 4 new teams coming in to be a part of. I mean, you just look at the Scouting Grounds event. Daryl Morey, who's the general manager of the Rockets, actually came to that event, which is something you did not see from any of the other NBA teams for sure. So the fact that he came and was there to support it, he's a guy who's been involved in MLG. He's been a part of that board, kind of looking at that, and he said himself, the 3 big sports are going to be soccer, basketball, and esports, which is what he believes. And he said his team has kind of been looking into analytics, which is his main thing he does with the Rockets. They've been looking at that stuff for almost a year now at League of Legends and developing that with his team. So even though they were super quiet early on here, they have clearly been working behind the scenes, got a solid roster together, and looks like they're really investing in their players. So yeah, I think Febvin's going to be very happy on that squad, as well as all the other players.
And it makes sense that the Rockets kind of have that analytical background, especially when you look at the team and you look at what guys like Apollo and Hakuo bring to the table. They don't necessarily flash, but when you look at the stats, you're like, wait a second.
They're actually good.
Yeah, and I got to back them up. So I like the moves, and I'm with you. I think the Rockets, Clutch Gaming, is off to a great start and a team to keep an eye on.
And the good news is we're getting used to saying Clutch Gaming now, not Clutch City Gaming.
Yeah, well, I think we got there.
I don't think we did it once there.
No.
So that's pretty impressive.
Congratulations.
Good job.
Pat on the back.
Pat on the back. We'll get to your questions in about 30 seconds. But first I'm going to say, again, All-Stars on Thursday.
Yes.
Getting started. They haven't announced the 1v1 participants yet, I don't believe.
No.
Which, again, they'll probably wait till Wednesday night, right before the event. But on Wednesday on 5v5 Live, we'll look ahead to the All-Star event. Hopefully they've announced the 1v1 matchups by then. I don't know how the coaches are going to pick. That's basically just saying who the best player on your team is.
It seems like a shot at the other three.
Yeah. So Bjergsen, you get in, and Mithy. Oh, that'd be spicy.
Mithy's not even at the thing.
That's a good point.
So it probably won't be him.
I don't know why I said Mithy.
Yeah.
I'm just excited about it.
It's just TSM. Yeah, exactly.
I thought TSM was just cool. But yeah, we'll be breaking down that and we'll give our picks for where we think teams are going to finish, EUNA, all that good stuff. It's still a rivalry, even though PoE doesn't believe it.
That's right.
PoE, it's just Korea that stomps them all, which is true. But you got to have that second-tier competition of EUNA. Otherwise, it's just boring if you know Korea's just going to knock you out.
I agree.
You agree. But Wednesday, we'll get more into that All-Star stuff. Right now, it's question time.
All right, let me break it open. Stall.
Don't break it.
Stall while
Please don't break that.
open.
You know how much that was? That was $3,000.
Jeez.
There's a custom red and blue case that was $2,000.
All right.
All right. That was my stall. How was it?
Not bad. I respect it. Some people want to know where we got the voting percentages from. LoL Esports released it.
LoL Esports.
We did not make them up. We did not random number generator or any of that. It's all real. LoL Esports.
Although 53.2% is my favorite number. So there's a good chance I could have made that up. But no, those are official Riot stuff that was released. And they even gave a little blurb about each player.
It was fascinating.
If you want to check those out, make sure you head on over to LoL Esports. Shameless plug to LoL Esports. Don't know why I'm plugging them.
You really shouldn't.
No.
Because we don't get anything from them.
Nope.
Those bastards. But
True say.
Yeah. Jacob Kang says, just kidding, we love LoL Esports. We talk about it all the time.
Wait, did he say that or are you saying that?
Who? Oh, no, that's not what he said.
Oh.
Sorry, Jacob Kang's real question.
Oh, I thought he said, just kidding, we love LoL Esports.
Y'all hear about Olive yet? I'm assuming that's Ablaze Olive, who got drafted by TSM. That's right.
Yeah, Bjergsen is not starting for TSM. Blaze Olive's coming in. He's going to steal
You know
his
people
spot.
are going to believe you. You can't say that.
I mean, he was one of the most hyped up guys coming into this event. TSM, not a bad guy to have on your academy team. No, he's not taking Bjergsen's spot.
Thank you.
At best, he will play on the academy roster for TSM, which alongside, I assume, is still Mr. Rales. Haven't heard anything about him.
They've been duoing.
They've been duoing. There you go. TSM going for the double championship in spring and summer, maybe. But I think Bjergsen is probably safe. But I'm surprised he kind of went that late in the draft, though, because he was pretty hyped up.
Yeah, didn't he go first overall in the Dragon draft or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he slid to 7. He wasn't even the first mid taken. Palafox went right before him. So.
Which is a little odd. But I mean, like C9, I get it. They already have Selfie. Don't really need him. But, you know, some other teams, I'm surprised I didn't pick him up early.
Yeah, it is kind of surprising. But nonetheless, good for him.
Yeah.
Because he's been a solo queue guy for a while. He even has some experience behind him already. So some of those other LANs and tournaments. DFMN says, what do you think of FlyQuest's current roster? Eric, should you start it or should I?
You go ahead. You go ahead. Get in there. You love that FlyQuest roster.
I don't think it's very good. I don't think. I don't think it's very good. It's just so underwhelming when you look at what other teams have. I mean, if you don't know what it is, it's Flame, Onda, Fly, Wild Turtle.
No, that's the team, Matt.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. FlyQuest Fly.
Oh, okay.
Fly.
Fly.
It's so stupid. But anyways, I just don't really see the potential for this team. I think Onda's going to have a pretty good performance for them, but when you look just skill-wise, I don't think it's going to be very good. I look at them as a bottom 3 squad.
Yeah, when we kind of were doing made-up rosters before any of this free agency stuff went down, we're like, some of these teams are going to be stacked, and eventually there's not going to be a whole lot left for some of these rosters. And that's kind of the case you're seeing with some of these bottom 3 teams. I mean, FlyQuest actually got out pretty early to a lot of these guys. And yeah, unless Onda is absolutely fantastic, it's probably going to be a bottom 3 team. But I could see them pushing for one of the final 2 playoff spots, maybe. But that's probably their ceiling this upcoming split.
Yeah, don't get your hopes up with the FlyQuest roster.
Yeah, but my hopes are there.
Well, they don't even have high anymore for miracle runs. So
but they have fly. Fly high.
If you can't have high, just get someone who rhymes and also is identical to your teammate.
Yes.
It's not bad.
It's always a recipe for success.
Yeah, exactly. Salim wants a NA mid lane ranking.
So now born in NA?
No. Just I'm assuming NA LCS, because if it's born in NA, it's going to be a really short ranking.
Belter. High.
Good list. Other than that, I guess you go Bjergsen.
I mean, even top 5. The top 5 is insane.
It's some sort of mismatch of Febby, Jensen, and Bjergsen at the top.
Yeah, then maybe B tier of like Huhi.
PowerofEvil.
Not Froggen. PoE. Who else we got?
Pobe.
Probably those 3. And then the other 4.
Who did we not talk about? Fly,
Ryu, Phoenix, and High. Yeah,
that sounds good.
I think we nailed it. 4, yeah.
That'll do it. Phoenix is probably the best of those 4.
Yeah, he can have his own tier. He's the C tier.
Yeah.
A, B, C, and D.
Nice.
That was good.
That was not bad. Master Swag King with predictions for the finals.
Finals?
TSM.
Whoa. Pretty bold.
And?
What is that, 11? Is that 11 in a row?
Something like that. That team is too stacked.
It's very stacked.
Now, do we make a bold prediction with the finals, Eric? Or do we just, cower and go back to the usual?
I gotta look more into this before I do my bold one. I might have a hot take for the finals when I look into it more. But right now, I'm gonna say CLG, TSM CLG.
Have you seen that one before?
Never seen that. Have they played before?
I mean, that's pretty hype still.
Oh, that's very hype.
But it's a brand new iteration of the rivalry too. So
it would be very interesting. Well, maybe not interesting. Funny. It'd be funny to see like Clutch Gaming and 100 Thieves in the final.
You won't.
Like, oh, I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to be TSM because their roster is nutty.
Yeah.
Nutty.
It's insane. Foxy says, where's Ignar? He went to the BBQ Olivers.
I don't think he's in here.
Wait.
No.
He's gone. Actually, he might be in LA right now for All-Stars.
Right. He's probably either on his way to LA or in Korea. Yes, him and Trick are playing on BBQ, which we learned is not barbecue.
Yeah, we learned that.
It's BBQ. It's not short for barbecue.
That's just conveniently BBQ.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
Yeah.
But
he's playing on a team in Korea with Trick that their logo is a chicken.
And they love olive oil.
Right. They cook with 100% pure virgin olive.
Good for them.
Blaze Olive should have joined that team.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I am with you. Emmy says, what do you make of Cloud9's aggressive negotiation for 3 picks in the draft? It's interesting. I would like to know, again, how much they actually gave up.
Nope. Can't
but
tell.
That's off limits, apparently, as is everything else that I want to know. So it's interesting, and I respect it because they're really going after this academy roster and filling it out with guys that they think are top talent, and they obviously believe that some of these guys at Scouting Grounds were the best guys for them, whether that was Ash, who they worked with on their team, and they thought that even though he didn't have great performances on stage, obviously they saw something in him behind the scenes that really wanted they wanted him to be on their academy team. And League, who was the top pick overall, they went all the way up to take him to be a little backup to Licorice just in case everything goes completely wrong with him. But if not, to be just a strong force on that academy team as well. So they're really doing a lot, and I like the moves. I mean, I guess some of the other teams already have things in place. Otherwise, they wouldn't just be willing to give up their picks for who knows what amount of cash. But obviously, Cloud9 is using this as a chance to get some young talent that's been on the challenger ladder for a while.
Yeah, and it looks like they're actually taking Academy League rosters somewhat seriously, and I hope that's the case for all the teams because then it might actually pique some interest into that Academy League because you see some of this up and coming talent. If the teams just kind of schlucked out 5 random guys into those games, you'd be like, I don't want to watch this league. There's no intention of these guys ever maybe coming to the LCS. But, I mean, if they're actually actively going after some of these picks, Cloud9 as well as Clutch Gaming, and kind of seriously looking for the up-and-coming talent in NA, then maybe that league actually has some interest and people will pay attention to it, which I hope is the case. I hope.
Yeah, next year maybe it'll be a bit more polished, a little less cringy.
And you didn't like that draft?
It was fine. It was okay. It was just weird.
Yeah, it was definitely weird. You know, sometimes the handshake and hug was so quick, I don't think the photographer even had time to get a picture. It's literally they shook hands, put it, and then walked away. If I'm the photographer, I'm like, I didn't get that, man.
Can you come back?
Come back.
No.
I can't
Next,
shoot it that quick.
Next Cloud9's on the clock again. See?
Yeah. They got to fix some of that.
Yeah.
But
obviously, they haven't done this before.
obviously,
It showed.
It definitely showed.
But
maybe get some fans in the crowd next time.
I kind of liked only having the draft class there.
It
because,
felt like a reality show.
man, I wouldn't cheer if someone else got drafted. I'd be like, that's not me. I'm pissed.
Yeah.
No one's getting cheers.
You got to work on your Oscar face when the camera cuts to you, though.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
real quick.
You got to practice that one.
Yeah, instead of just being the...
That guy sucks. I'm better.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a great mentality.
Yeah. Elliot asked, can you have subs for academy teams? This is where things get a little blurry. Because once again, the rule set is just like...
We don't know the finer details of this league whatsoever. I feel like it's like 10 players. That's your roster. You have 5 starters, 5 on your academy teams, and they kind of work as your subs. Again, I don't know. Maybe you can have 15. Maybe you can have a sub for those guys. Maybe you can have a sub for your academy and a sub for your LCS that's separate from your academy, and you got 20 players on your roster. I don't know. Riot hasn't said.
I feel like the way Riot's rule set goes is that each member of Riot gets 1 page of the rule book. So that way, just in case it leaks and someone finds a copy, you only find 1 page
and
not the entire thing. Yeah, and then you fire him, and then you just get it all together. But when you come to the meetings, bring your page.
How many pages is the rule book, man?
I don't know.
Hundreds? Thousands? I imagine it's 10 players. You have 10 players on your roster, 5 starters and 5 on your academy team. I can't imagine them having more than that because even 10 on each team is already pushing it, especially when you only have 2 imports, 4 imports, I guess, of the 10. It's actually quite a bit. So I think that's what it is. I think.
All right, Eric, people dying to know.
Here we go.
100 Thieves. We still know who the 80 carry is. And of course, Aframu's been doing with who?
Michael Santana.
Michael Santana. I'm a cutie pie. So the question is, do you think that I'm a cutie pie will be the new 100 Thieves 80 carry?
Listen, I would absolutely love to see I'm a cutie pie come on to 100 Thieves and play with Aframu, with Meteos in the jungle, probably as a coach. That is instantly the most exciting and interesting team in the league, with plenty of other exciting teams. But there's maybe, you know what? I'm going to up it to a 2% chance.
Look at
that
you.
That's happening.
You wild
2%
child.
chance, up from the 1%. Cody Sun is transferred from Team Liquid. Steve has said that they found him a starting role on a team. There's only 1 starting role left in the league, and that would be on 100 Thieves. So unless Steve has transferred Cody Sun to a totally different region that Cody Sun is unaware of, he's playing in Turkey next year.
Sweet.
I'm fairly confident he's probably going to 100 Thieves. And Cutie Pie, again, does he want to come back to the LCS? It's a lot more stressful than his current streaming setup that he has, I'm sure. And rumor has it he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, he already turned down Team Liquid, apparently, according to him. And anything he says, I don't fully trust because you know how Cutie Pie is when it comes to things like that. But if what he said was true and that Team Liquid offered to match what he made streaming plus some,
that's a lot.
Then I would do that if I wanted to come back professionally, especially with the way that Team Liquid's roster is. So now if 100 Thieves offered him something too, I would assume that he would still turn it down. And I feel like this is more just fans wanting something to happen more than it is actually base speculation. So.
Also, Afro and Cutie have been duo queuing for about 4 years.
Yeah, it's nothing new. It's nothing new. They're both OGs of the league scene, so they just duo from time to time. Not because they're on the same team, though.
No.
Though it would be like a modern-day revamped Stream Dream team that doesn't suck as much.
Yeah, they're actual LCS
Yeah.
caliber players. I think Cutie Pie could be an LCS caliber
Sure.
80 carry, by the way, but don't think he will be.
No,
Don't think he will be.
I don't think so either. Sebastian Perez asks, does TSM have more players on the academy team besides Rales? And if they sign him, Ablaze Olive? I believe that's it. I believe that's all they have so far.
I think that's all they have. I mean, pretty much every team's academy roster is pretty bare. I mean,
As
C9,
far as we know.
As far as we know. They might have the 5 guys in mind. They just haven't announced it yet. C9 has the most fleshed out looking one with Wiggly, Selfie, and maybe this new top laner League and Ash 80 carry. If they decide to sign them again, they could just say bye-bye after 21 days, and then they're back in the open market. But yeah, really not much news in terms of these academy teams. Obviously, it's more of a rush for these guys to sign their LCS rosters before the academy team because it's definitely a few tiers below what your starting roster talent-wise will look like. But I'm sure we'll get some more news from all the teams in the coming weeks.
Probably.
I would hope so.
Yeah,
I mean, they kind of have to.
The academy news is really quiet, and part of that is probably just waiting to see what happens with main rosters first. Obviously, academy teams would take a seat back to what you're actually going to dish out on the LCS stage.
And they needed to do the scouting grounds.
They do the scouting grounds. But obviously, teams already have things in mind because they had to change the invitees to the scouting grounds because apparently guys were already getting scooped up for academy rosters before it even started. So,
yeah, I imagine a lot of guys are already signed. They just haven't been announced yet.
yeah, I would believe that. Josh E says, how do you feel about TSM not giving Biofrost a goodbye video? Pretty funny.
Did they not give him one?
They must have. Or at least they must be about to or something.
If they haven't given him one, I would be shocked if they didn't give him one of some sort. Either a video or a beautifully written article with quotes from all the teammates. They're going to give something to him. This guy won every split that he was there.
Yeah, I know.
And he's a lovable guy. There's basically no reason to have any hatred. Hatred's already immediately strong. Any dislike or negative things to say about Biofrost.
He's done nothing wrong.
He's done nothing wrong. TSM, I'm sure, will be sending him something.
If they haven't, they will.
Yes.
They will. Do you fear TSM losing their legacy of always going to finals?
I don't fear it.
I'm not losing sleep over it. But
I mean, there's a chance. I think if it's going to happen, it'll be in spring and not summer. Because I'm assuming by summer they're going to have kind of gelled together this roster and it's going to be a terrifying, destructive machine that's going to destroy the league. But,
that sounds pretty fearsome.
It sounds pretty. I'm scared of that.
Yeah.
I'm losing sleep over that. But maybe in spring. But I just feel like this roster is going to click pretty quickly. It's oozing with talent. Oozing with talent. There's a picture of that one. Now you really can't sleep.
No.
But I think they'll get it together pretty quickly and go for, I believe, the 11th straight. It's got to be an odd number because it's spring, right? That makes sense. It's been 5 seasons of LCS, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 11 in a row.
There you go.
Yeah, quick math.
Yeah, no, I still fully expect them to be there in spring.
Fully. No doubts.
Fully. Well, everyone has doubts. But
I don't.
Well, you're a different man than I am.
This is true. We are not the same man. Can confirm.
Spartan Core 123 expectations on TSM roster. Eric kind of just said it.
They should probably get to finals. I mean, TSM usually their expectations aren't even related with NA. They're immediately thinking international competition, but this roster is terrifying for the other teams in the NALCS unless Mike Young really doesn't fit in with this roster. But I feel like it's pretty easy to fit in with that roster. When you have winning lanes pretty much across the board, it makes it a lot easier as a jungler, I'd imagine.
Even when their junglers don't necessarily fit in, this team still performs and they go to Worlds and NA Finals nonetheless. So yeah, I don't see an opportunity where TSM doesn't qualify for Worlds again, and I'm pretty sure they'll be winning NALCS summer. Spring, obviously, always in question because of the the mix-up in rosters could take a while, but again, come this latter half of the year, they'll be in top form.
I think the absolute floor, the lowest point TSM will get after summer is second seed at Worlds. Maybe someone goes on
It's probably better.
That's true. Maybe someone goes on a big run and beats them in summer, in the finals, of course. But I mean, the absolute lowest they'll probably get is second seed at Worlds. I just can't see them getting lower than that.
I'm with you. Hugo says Mithy and Sven. Oh, all the Svens and Svens and God.
Sound it out.
It's unbearable.
You should call them Zedven.
Or Double Lift and Biofrost. See, we've done a couple videos where Eric and I said that Sven and Mithy are better, and the flame is fantastic. It gets warm. Just from looking at the screen, you feel the flamethrower coming at us. But, you know, Eric and I both believe that Sven and Mithy are better. And we've been called biased, even though we're North American.
Yeah, NA and Mithy are North American.
Yeah, you EU biased bastards. Wait a second. We're from North America.
Sven and Mithy are they're better in lane, and I think they're better outside of lane. They're better at communicating. At least Mithy is better at communicating. I don't know how much Sven actually communicates, but these guys have been perennially the best bottom lane in the West, or vying to be best bottom lane in the West for pretty much ever since they burst onto the scene together with Origin. Been to Worlds with 2 different teams. It's going to be 3 different teams. It's 4 different teams for Mithy this year that he'll have gone to Worlds with, assuming TSM makes it, which I'm going to make a hot take and say they will. These guys are fantastic. That's it. Not that Double Lift and Bio are bad by any means. They were one of the top bottom lanes in NA. Even Sven said Double Lift is the best AD in NA until now. He said it kind of cool. I thought it was badass how he said it on the stream.
It was. It was kind of like a compliment, but then it was like, but I'm better. Hey, got him. Pretty clever, pretty funny stuff from Sven.
Real clever.
Yeah. Ooh. What a guy. What a jokester.
He must have thought of that beforehand. Wrote it down.
Those cheeky Europeans, man.
So cheap.
They'll get you. Thomas says, what do you think of Samsung selling their team? What was the company that took it over? KSV, KVS, one of those 2.
Is it that many letters, or?
It's 3. It's not the full
KVS,
6.
KVS,
it was,
SKV.
I just can't remember if it's VS or SV, but it seems like the turnover in ownership in Korea is pretty sporadic, and I think it has some people concerned in the long-term longevity of the LCK. But yeah, I mean, Samsung definitely got sold, but obviously the new team coming in, or the new ownership coming in, going to keep that roster intact. If you're that company, they've got a long KSV. Okay. They've got some of the best teams already throughout esports, and now they're picking up the world champions. That's not bad. That's not bad. So yeah, Samsung got sold, but the new ownership has a long history in esports already, successful one at that. So if your concern is about that roster, I wouldn't be too worried about it. I guess the only concern is all these teams that are selling their spots and the ownerships in the LCK.
And the other concern is, what are the skins going to be? What are the World Championship skins? Are they Samsung-y? Are KSV's colors different? I don't remember what their colors are. These are the tough questions and tough things Riot has to go through. There's going to be no Galaxy phones involved with these skins. That's too bad.
No.
Tragedy.
Instead, it's whatever KSV specializes in.
Not cell phones.
Not cell phones. Carry to Victory says, what are the all-star rosters for NA and EU?
Well, NA, you got Hanser.
Hanser.
You got Mike Young.
Yep.
You got Bjergsen. And then you'll say, wait a sec, that's 3 TSM members. They broke the system. Mike Young voted in before he came on to TSM. And then the bottom lane, you got Sneaky, Meme Lord himself, and Afro Moo, newly signed with 100 Thieves. And then
reportedly.
Reportedly. Excuse me. Reportedly. According to sources. He's playing with Cutie Pie in the bottom lane. Then EU, you've got Soaz, Yankos, everybody's favorite, PowerofEvil, and Reckless, leading vote getter for EU, with Ignar also currently not playing in the EU LCS.
Yeah, so 3 of the 5 starters in EU are from EU, or are playing in EU next year.
Yeah.
PowerofEvil and Ignar?
Are not.
No, sir. Mini Bruce 8, if the 2-team member limit wasn't a thing, who would the NAEU All-Star team be? Honestly, I think it'd be pretty similar.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really have to do with the 2-team limit why some of these guys should probably have been swapped out.
Yeah, like that. The voting didn't come into effect where you had a situation where some guy was actually higher voted and had to be removed because of the whole team situation. This year it actually worked out as to what it should have been. But, I mean, I know you and I probably would have put Perks in over PowerofEvil.
Yeah. Still crazy there's no G2 guys.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And maybe, probably Afro subs out for Ole or Smoothie.
Yes, sir.
But again, doesn't have anything to do with the 2-team limit.
It does not. We still have a ton of questions, Eric, so it's time for the old...
Speed round.
Speed round.
You like that?
Was that Sonic?
I think that was kind of like the start.
Or was it Mario? Yeah, I got you. Nice.
But I put a little...
It was a jazzy twist.
A little remix on it, you know?
The speed run's off to a pretty slow start.
Yeah.
Tony A, what do you think about SKT effort in their starting roster? Upgrade? Not if he's playing Misfortune. My God, that was bad.
Is 0-8 not good?
He had 4 assists.
Oh, my bad. His Zerath didn't look that great either. I mean, it's his first times with SKT. I think they're going to give him more looks going forward. It's a little too early to totally judge on this guy. I have full confidence in any guy that SKT is bringing on to start games for them. They have a fantastic eye for talent. Although Faker was pretty obvious.
Yeah, that one wasn't too much of a scouting gem.
No. Hey, he's good. Let's sign him.
Oh, you're right.
He's good.
Ferronson says, we haven't really talked a lot about EU, but what current EU roster do you believe to be the strongest? That's a good question, because there's not one roster that really stands out as, wow, that's loaded with talent, but there's probably like a top 5 that are all pretty competitive.
Yeah, there's definitely some bottom tier teams that don't look so good, but I feel like right now, just because so much changed, you kind of got to think Fnatic is the favorites heading into 2018. I mean, they're only changing Hylissang for Jez's, 4 out of the 5 returning guys, and team that got to the quarterfinals at Worlds took a game off RNG. Probably should have taken 2, and they really blitzed through the EU LCS in the regular season. Kind of slumped quite a bit in the playoffs, but then got it back for the gauntlet. I mean, just with all the change around them, you got to think they're the favorites. But I also really like Schalke. I really like that roster.
Yeah, you like Schalke. I think Misfits is still pretty good, subbing in Senkux and Mickey for PoE and Ignire. But there's a bunch of teams there that could do pretty well.
We still don't know who G2's jungler is.
No, we don't.
There's still a lot of question marks with EU. It's even less filled out than NA.
DBM the Supermassive. Thoughts on that? Good night career. There you go.
Yeah, GBM. Goodbye, man.
Turkey just got one more bow tie. That's about
bow tie.
All there is to that.
That's pretty nice. He's just slowly going lower and lower tiers of competition. In another year or two, there's not any tiers left, my man.
Just retirement.
Just retirement.
Justin, what are the chances of Cody's son going to 100 Thieves? Very high.
I don't want to give a number because I might get flamed.
That's why you give a word.
Very high? That's 2 words.
Well, I screwed it up.
Come on.
Idiot.
I'm going to say 95%. That's pretty high.
That's very high.
It's very high.
You said pretty high. Okay,
pretty
that's fine too.
Pretty high.
Salim says, in which place would 100 Thieves, Sunday, Meteos, Ryu, Cody's son, and Afro finish? I think that's a 5th, 6th team.
Yeah, I think that's probably playoff caliber team. Maybe a little lower ceiling than someone like Clutch Gaming, but yeah, I think that's a team that could slide in to a low playoff seed.
Yep. What's the situation with Huni? Apparently he's
still waiting to sign the document.
Apparently he's basically agreed to a deal with Echo Fox. We're just waiting on the old signature, but we've been waiting for like a week now.
Well, you know, you got to practice the cursive. This is you only get to sign it once. You got to make sure it's a nice looking signature.
Pen to paper, my boy. Get quick on that.
My signature looks different every time I do it.
Mine is bad every time, but
yeah, I've seen it.
Elliot, do you believe Zabutin and Romain will give the 5 players performance-enhanced baguette so they can crush NA and the world? I didn't read that before I read it, but that's a very strange question.
Performance-enhancing bonuses. Maybe they
baguettes, not bonuses.
Oh, baguettes.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably
less.
French. That's probably less of a enticing thing for me to perform well. It's like, we'll give you some bread if you do well. Can I just get some bread if I don't do well?
Absolutely
I'll
not.
just go buy some bread to drown my sorrows of losing. Maybe like money might entice them more, but they might need something to inspire them on that team.
Yeah, they might need something. Do you guys think any will make it to semis at Worlds this season? I'm gonna hold off on that one because that's literally like 10 months away. But based on some of the rosters we've seen, the ceiling is there.
I'm going to say there's a low chance, as per usual, because they have to get lucky with groups. And whatever 3 teams come from Korea are looking like they're going to be insane.
Yeah.
Maybe even more insane than last year. And last year was scary. Even when SKT was slumping and Longzhu got knocked out early, it was still scary. And 4 Korean teams looked like they could go on a crazy run and dominate the World Championship. But yeah, 10 months is a long time.
It is a long time.
Very long time.
Dipin2 says, is G2 Kjarnan and Wadid confirmed? Now, there's 2 different things you can go about this, and this is why it's very annoying. There's confirmed, and then there's officially confirmed.
Oh.
I mean, I would confirm it.
It depends who's confirming it.
Right. I would say it's pretty legit locked in, but G2 has not yet come out and said, this is our bot lane. But yes.
I believe Hjarnan was on Perk's stream the other day. He was talking to him, so he sounds like he's at the G2 house, which is pretty close to confirmed, I'd say.
Just visiting, just getting a tour.
I'd say it's upwards of 90% that Hjarnan and Wadid are on G2. The jungler is still the main question mark. I don't know if Wonder's completely confirmed either.
Yeah,
but
I mean, again, depends on your definition.
Above 90% that Wonder's there. It's just that jungler that we don't know yet.
Yeah.
Don't know.
How's Crepo? Last time I spoke to him, he's perfectly fine.
When did you last talk to him?
It's been a long time.
Well, then
yeah.
Things could have changed.
Could have changed. But yeah, he's head coach over at Schalke.
It's looking good. His team looks good.
I'd be pretty good if I was Crepo.
That's a playoff team, and maybe that could be a team that's fighting for top 2.
Yeah. Here's a good one. Which team is going to be last place?
In EU, NA, both?
Both, sure. Quick.
NA, it's OpTic.
Nice.
Might be Guardians, but I'm going to say OpTic.
Okay.
EU, Rocket's looking rough. I'm not too familiar with Giants. The majority of the guys on Giants just getting into the LCS. But I'm going to say Rocket.
Yeah, that team looks... Ugh.
But again, there's some like basically empty rosters on EU. So
yeah.
With what's left, if someone has to put a team together with what's left, that team's probably going to be last.
I agree. Where do you rank Prolly as an NA coach?
I mean, I don't think NA historically has great coaches.
No, they got some good ones. Well, Song coming in is obviously pretty swell.
Yeah,
Reaper.
But Reaper's probably the best one until Prolly come. But it's so rare for a coach in league to be with a team for more than a calendar year, and Prolly's been there for 4 years, 5 years now with H2K. So I'd put him pretty high up there coming over to NA, maybe even the best guy, just because he's been with the team for so long and they've consistently been a playoff team. Didn't win the EU LCS ever, but got the semis at Worlds, and they're just always near the top.
Yeah, it's interesting, but Prolly, he's got a good track record. Very good track record. Master Sway King says, what do you think about Khan's suspension? Is he the next Dardoch? That's
whoa.
It's very different. He doesn't flame his teammates. He flames the other team.
Oh.
So it's okay.
So he's like everyone else.
He's like just a normal league player.
Yeah.
Of course, he made like a racial slur, I guess. Not even a slur.
Yeah, slur. He made some racial comments that were questionable. He suspended a game. It's not quite. I mean, Dardoch isn't racist as far as I know. Maybe he is. I have no idea.
I'm not. No, don't start. Let's not be the ones to break that story.
Dardoch's not racist.
Not racist.
He's not racist. So you can't really compare the two.
No. Yeah, they're very different situations. Let's see. Which NA team you think is a 50-50 shot at being great or horrible?
50-50 shot at being great or horrible.
Maybe 100 Thieves, based on Meteos' performance.
Yeah, people like the volatility. Is that a word?
Yeah.
All right. of Echo Fox.
Yeah, that's probably a better one.
That could be a playoff team, or they could be fighting with OpTic for last, depending on the not racist Dardoch and Hooney, how they go together. Again, Hooney's not confirmed. Hooney is not confirmed.
No.
So many question marks, so many things we have to cover.
That's right. Fnatic, some questions about Fnatic.
Okay.
How will they compare to NA rosters, and just thoughts on Fnatic overall?
I mean, again, they're only changing one guy, and Broxa and Caps are two young guys, obviously with some vets in Reckless, so as Anhill is saying now. So you got to think they'll be better than last split. You saw moments of what they were capable of during their run at Worlds. So again, they should be a top team in EU, and the favorites probably coming into spring. If you were to stick them up against some NA teams, I mean, they'd probably be in the playoffs. I think they'd definitely be in the playoffs. But this top 3, maybe top 4 in NA is ridiculously stacked. But I don't know, we'll see. Maybe they have a Rift Rivals event, something like that, and we can answer those questions.
That's the best way to answer them.
Yes. True.
Yes.
Yes. I agree.
Is Bjergsen going to be replaced? No. No.
Yeah, a Blaze Olive.
New starting mid laner for TSN.
That's right.
You heard it here first.
No.
No.
Bjergsen is not going anywhere. If you heard Travis interview Reggie, they talked about Bjergsen, and he was Reggie. Only positive things. He's an amazing teammate, an amazing player, great communicator. Nothing negative to say about him. Guy's got 4 MVPs. No one else has 2 in NA. I think his spot is pretty safe. Probably the safest in NA.
Yep. Where is Shifter going? He's not leaving his house.
Going to his streaming chair.
Yep. He's staying in the kitchen.
Yeah. Gonna watch some cooking videos.
Yeah.
That's where he streams. Got it. Yeah, there was a hilariously self-made rumor by him about going to the Golden Guardians. Pretty sure he learned from his Lord Senpai, I'm a cutie pie, on how to troll. And he did a pretty good job.
Did a very good job. Got a lot of people fooled. Do you think Freeze can make it to LCS? EU? Sure. NA? Unlikely.
Academy team?
Sure.
Would he play on an academy team?
It's up to him. He'll definitely get offers.
I think he had the wrist problems that kind of took him out of the pro scene for a while. I don't know if that's probably a pretty big question mark for some teams, but I mean, some of these guys on EU rosters, Freeze can compete.
Freeze can definitely compete. What do you guys think of OpTic Gaming? They're the best esports team. They definitely, as an organization, have a huge history in esports with COD. They have CSGO. They have Gears of War. They have all these top teams in other games. But right now,
Not League.
Obviously, it's going to be tough to just come into League.
Right.
And apparently, if their budget wasn't as high as some of these other teams, then the roster is going to be a little rough. And obviously, from what we've seen so far, that's the case. So it might be a tough first year for OpTic in League, but who's to say what that means for the following years?
Right. You can't expect, they don't expect to just burst on their first split, their first year with an entirely new game, new roster, new organization basically in that League of Legends side and bust through and destroy everyone. It's going to be a process.
Indeed. At Switch_BG, I think most of the Academy mid laners show more promise than Phoenix, don't you? Poor Phoenix.
I mean, Phoenix isn't the worst mid laner in the LCS,
No.
I don't think. So I guess they got more promise than a couple LCS guys, if you're saying that. I mean, I think as risky and crazy as a Phoenix pick is to start, I think it's less risky than some of these Academy guys just because they have absolutely no LCS experience, no offline experience, or very limited offline experience. You at least know what Phoenix could be capable of at his peak. So, I mean, it'd be nice to have a really good up-and-coming mid laner behind him that you could maybe sub in for some games and slowly work him in to your starting rotation. But I'd rather have Phoenix.
Yeah, me too. I mean, sure, guys like a Blaze Olive and Palafox look pretty good at scouting grounds, but this is also against teams that have played together for a week. And just guys fresh off the Challenger ladder don't necessarily have much LAN experience whatsoever. Nerves are definitely an issue. And just when it comes to Phoenix against these guys, Phoenix, way more LCS and on-stage experience. So I think he's still favor him, at least in a beginning split, and you can nurture some of these guys in the academy roster for a while.
And we were roasting Phoenix.
Yeah.
Pretty hard when he got signed, but I mean, he's still a veteran of the scene.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, let me just give a quick scroll here.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep that soundtrack going. That's nice.
It's done.
Very relaxing.
Let's see. Some C9 stuff. What do you think about Sven Skjern on C9? Thoughts about their new top laner, Licorice? Will another NA team, other than C9, make it to groups?
Again, 10 months, Worlds pretty far away. See, TSM will get very roasted and toasted if they don't get out of groups with this roster, but we'll see. Licorice, I actually kind of like. He's a guy who's pretty hyped up coming into this. C9 had the rights to get him originally when they had him before, sent him to Gold Coin United. So when Impact left, I think that's actually a pretty solid spot for them to open up an import slot, even though they shouldn't have needed it if they kept contracts. But I think Sven Skjern's going to look like a totally different jungler on C9 than he did on the tail end of his time with TSM. And him and Jensen are going to be one of the best mid lane jungle duos. Look out.
I think Sven Skjern's history with TSM is definitely giving a negative outlook from a lot of fans, but I think he'll be kind of freed up a little bit on Cloud9 to get back to do what Contrast is doing a little bit and actually carry some of these games on his own. So I like the move, and then Licorice, again, unproven guy, but showed a lot on E United. So 2 underrated moves that I think will work out just fine for Cloud9. Let's hit a few more questions there, because there's a few more questions.
Oh, that makes sense that we do that.
That's pretty nuts, right?
Yeah.
Hugo says, which ADC would benefit 100 Thieves better? Piglet, which is impossible because they already have 2 import slots.
Okay.
They do, right? Yeah, Someday and Ryu. Yes.
Yep.
Cody Sun or I'm a Cutie Pie.
Give me Cody Sun.
So are you saying that Cody Sun is better than Cutie Pie?
Yes. I know the lasting impression of Cody Sun is getting Pobelter killed and killing Immortal's chances out of groups. But I mean, before that, he was actually one of the premier 80 carries. And if there was a most improved player of the Split Award, it would probably go to him in between spring and summer, because he completely pulled a 180 and was, one of the top guys in the league, had some of the best numbers, and him and Ole were one of the best bottom lanes. Doesn't take up an import slot, and I mean, I think he's a guy that could work well with Afromu. I'm a Cutie Pie. If you want fans, then sure, you sign I'm a Cutie Pie, because that quickly has the probably most fans in the league outside of TSM, C9, CLG on that squad. But it's been a while since he played in the LCS, and getting rank 1 in solo queue is a little different than playing on an LCS stage.
Yeah, he also trolls a lot. Obviously, he probably wouldn't do that.
I would hope he wouldn't just troll.
An LCS team, but
I'm going 80 Psy on top, boys.
Yeah, his play style is a little different than what we've seen in the LCS.
Yeah.
All right, let's see, Eric. Any
weird
clue where
way to say
Jankos
my
is
name.
going?
Any clue where Jankos is going? Well, probably not NA. I might even say definitely not.
Yeah,
NA.
definitely not NA.
It's pretty much, it seems like it's down to Vitality and G2 for Jankos.
So hopefully G2.
If I was Jankos, I know which team I would pick. I'd probably go with G2. That makes that team a lot more interesting. Perks and Jankos would be a deadly jungle mid lane combo, and even deadlier on the post-game analyst desk. Those guys would be hilarious after games.
Yeah, it'd be a great conversation between Perks, Jankos, and whoever is talking on the desk, who would be an unfortunate interviewer in that case. Hopefully Deficio, because
that would be amazing. But I'd like to see him go to G2, and he's pretty. There are heavy rumors linking him there, but nothing confirmed.
What is Rocket's roster? Oh boy, you ready?
Let's see if I can remember.
Yeah,
this.
the top laner is an import. Oh,
Prophet
from NIP.
Memento in the jungle.
Blanc.
Mid Blank. Blanky.
Where'd the E?
Hiku in the bottom lane with, see if I can pronounce it correctly. Norscarin, who is probably the most hyped up guy on that roster. People were kind of hoping he would go to a pretty solid team, but it doesn't look like he did.
That roster is not very good.
It could surprise.
It could.
mean, Profit was one of the few bright spots, along with Hiku, on that NIP team.
If Hiku was bright, then these lights are very dim. Because
a little dim. Don't look right at them.
No, don't.
But that's definitely a bottom 3 team.
Yeah, it's undoubtedly a bottom 3 team. All right, let's just pick out 1 or 2 more questions. Fortunately, we can't get to all of them because we'll be here for months.
But we appreciate all these questions that we get to answer.
Oh, yeah.
It's lovely to have so much diversity.
What?
Diverse questions,
Diverse
Matt.
questions, of
Yeah.
course.
Jeez.
All right, let's see. Levi and Karsa. Any thoughts on where they're going? Karsa, I think I've heard, is going to the LPL.
Interesting. I feel like Levi might do the same. Again, there were some kind of hopeful rumors of Levi to G2, but I don't really see that happening, and I feel like Jankos would be better for G2 just to avoid the clear issues with communication. They might both go to LPL and get a lot of money.
But yeah, that Chinese money is pretty crazy too.
Levi definitely deserves to be in a league above the GPL, though.
96% All-Star voting.
96.2%.
Sorry, I don't want to short him that point
Don't
too.
forget the point, too.
Josh E., final question of the day.
Here it is.
Do you think there may be some problems with Liquid being old CLG with Doublelift, Cobalter, and Xmithy?
I think Liquid might not be this perennial powerhouse that people are expecting them to be to fight with TSM for that top spot. I think a team like Clutch Gaming might even, slide into that 3rd spot or 4th spot over Team Liquid. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how great the relationship is with those trio of old CLG guys. They might be perfectly fine playing with each other. I don't really know, but I'm not sure if you put that Immortals roster from last summer, if they'd immediately even be at the top again for this split. It's a bit of an upgrade, I guess, with Doublelift and Impact, but I'm not sure they're right at the top. They're definitely a top team, though.
Definitely a top team, but yeah, it all depends on how it comes together because Impact is going to be kind of in an island when it comes to communication. Sure, Ole can help with some translation stuff, and I know Impact's been in North America for a while now, but still not close to 100% when it comes to comms. And then, yeah, the old CLG roster, they were successful together, at least for a split. But then, there were talks about how it didn't always go well together. I think Doublelift's relationship has been okay with Poe and Xmithy. It wasn't as bad as, obviously, the Afro situation, but still not 100% seeing eye to eye. So it's just, how are they going to perform together? And I think Doublelift, over the years, has kind of calmed down a bit, though he's still someone who will say what's on his mind, and if you screw it up, he'll tell you to do this instead of that. So
he's a very outgoing personality and
Yes.
voice on a team. We will say that. That's all the questions. That was a great amount of questions.
Well, there's more, but we can't.
We got to get out of here, unfortunately. But
we're running an errand.
we do appreciate all the questions, and we'll be back on Wednesday to be answering more questions from you.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock on 5v5 Live, and we'll be talking about All-Stars, the players, the teams who we like in there. Hopefully the 1v1 matchups are decided by then. And apparently, breaking news, Afromu to 100 Thieves is confirmed. You believe that?
Yes.
Me too. kind of already knew that. But now it's confirmed. Now we're just waiting for I'm a Cutie Pie to join him, right?
No.
No. We're
Cody's
not.
son.
We're waiting for Cody's son to join him. But maybe that'll be confirmed by Wednesday at 2 p.m. when we're back for 5v5 Live. Eric Kummel, Matt Hempstead, thank you very much for stopping by. And as always, thank you for the questions. We'll see you on Wednesday.